What is up, everybody? I'm NoLucksGiven, and in this video we are going to take a look at a really sweet Horde Dragon game. And part of what makes this game so sweet is there's a lot of really interesting tricks in the late game that I really use to push myself ahead that involve some specific treasures and unit combinations, but there are things that I've never done before in Storybook Brawl, and that's always fun when you can do some sweet things and just find some interesting interactions. And I think these are some cool ones that can definitely help level up your game. They're just some interesting kind of things to think about. So turn 1, we take that shrink ray, and turn 2, we are just going to be purchasing those 3 units that we reduce the cost of in the shop. And polywoggles aren't super strong at this stage of the game. Sometimes you take the shrink ray and then you're just expecting to win your next combat. We could definitely lose this one, but we are going to be up against a Mad Mim. So we're going to walk away with a win, and one of our polywoggles is going to get a slay as well. So Romeo, not super exciting on level 2. There's not too much that we can do with that one, but we can pick up another Mad Mim. That's pretty reasonable, and or not another Mad Mim, but just a Mad Mim for ourself, and that will allow us to slay with this polywoggle. And I'm eyeing up to potentially slay with this polywoggle next turn after we level up again. And I think I might even move these units one more time just to put the polywoggle in the 4th position, so that way it's super unlikely to slay. We now get to make a unit out of it this turn with the Mad Mim, so that we've got a pair of 4 ones, and it looks like we're playing 4 units here, despite the fact that we really only have 2 units with actual stats. But that's going to be pretty good for us just in terms of allowing us to slay next turn, because that's the idea. Now we can slay with it on this turn potentially and grab a tier 4 unit. And maybe we'll get a Juliet, who knows? That could be somewhat sweet. What do we want to do from this shop? Well, Darkwood Creeper works out okay with the happy little tree that we already have, so that's certainly something to consider. And then I'm going to move the happy little tree and the polywoggle into positions 1 and 2, so that way we can potentially slay with them. And then from there, I'm just picking up the Sherwood Sure Shot. We could pick up Humpty there as well, though I am just deciding to go for the Sure Shot on this one. And we are going to get that polywoggle slice, so rest of the combat might not go as great for us, but still pretty sweet. Sure Shot's going to be able to take out the Black Cat, but I don't think it's going to be able to take out this Humpty Dumpty. We are going to take a little bit of damage on this one after Darkwood Creeper pumps both of my 0 attack minions. But then we get a pretty sweet unit. We get Court Wizard, and I look pretty smart for taking the Sherwood Sure Shot last combat. Now Court Wizard is going to give us a really easy time on the rest of these. We could have potentially grabbed the Lonely Prince here. It's definitely worth considering, but I'm going to roll past it, and then, excuse me, we are going to see another Sherwood Sure Shot. And I don't mind taking another Sherwood Sure Shot because it potentially allows us to pick up a tier 3 treasure with the Horde Dragon. So that's kind of nice, but then also it is a princess, so it's going to trigger Court Wizard, and I'm hoping that we now actually just already have enough tools to win these fights. A 3.1 Court Wizard is pretty strong, and then we also have the 2 Sherwood Sure Shots to back it up. So we'll see how this one goes. Yeah, it's fine, honestly, for right now, and we're kind of pushing our luck continually with these polywoggles as well to potentially get some other sweet stuff down the line. Unfortunately, Medusa means that we will not be attacking with our Court Wizard, and then Baby Dragon takes our Court Wizard out. So a little bit awkward combat here. We will still walk away with a win. We'll give my opponent 2 Brave Princess triggers though, and only hit them for 5 damage. But honestly, it's fine, all things considered. And now we've got this really weird kind of hodgepodge of a board put together where we've got half royals and then also half trees, as we can put in this Heartwood Elder supporting the Happy Little Tree and the Creeper. And this is definitely weird configuration on our part, but it is also kind of cool because it is going to allow us to start to grow the Happy Little Tree, start to grow the Darkwood Creeper, and then still get some uses out of the Court Wizard. So definitely an interesting board so far on this one because we've just been going so hard into the polywoggles, and polywoggle, as a little bit of a teaser, is going to be the first unit that we really get tricky with. Going to be showing off a really cool polywoggle trick that Isaac, that works on the Storybook Brawl tracker, has been talking to me about for a while. It's a trick that they are a really big fan of, and I'm really excited that I finally actually got to put this trick to use and find that it was sweeter than I thought and not really just a meme. And we'll get there when we get there, but for now, we've got the chance to pick up 2 different doubles, and then we also have a Wish Upon a Star. And honestly, I'm feeling pretty powerful at this point of the game, so I do think that I want to try to pick up this Wish Upon a Star as well as probably move into trees. Unfortunately, yes, this is going to be a trees game, but trust me, there are some cool surprises that you have not seen before. I will be picking up this Wish Upon a Star, and then the other thing I have to consider is, do I want this Nutcracker? Because we could go ahead and we could sell off 2 of our golden chickens and be able to pick up our Nutcracker with them. So playing around with some of the other ordering that we'll have to go through in this combat, but I think I'm just gonna like lead with a Court Wizard and then play a Nutcracker and then just have this be it. So I am still playing 1 Prince or Princess. The Nutcracker is secretly a dual tribe unit. It is a prince and a tree. So that is going to give us 1 tree to make use of for Court Wizard, but it's also going to be our highest health unit. So it is probably, or it's going to be, no, it's going to be our highest health unit, 14, compared to the 13 on the Happy Little Tree. So it's not super likely that it will get attacked and die anytime soon, but there you go. That is still the plan. And maybe we'll get something sweet out of that one. No, the Court Wizard's going to go down. And unfortunately, the Nutcracker does not get any farther in completing its treasure either, but we do still walk away from this combat with a tie. Oh, okay, that's a little bit unfortunate. If we look at our win percentage, though, we were actually 60% to lose that combat. So I guess I'll take it, and a tie is not the worst thing in the world. At least we didn't take any damage, though we didn't complete anything on our Nutcracker, and we did not complete a, we didn't get an extra XP. So here I will go for the Tier 5 treasure from tripling up on this Heartwood Elder. That is pretty sweet. And our options here are Staff of the Old Toad, and then some other not as great treasure. Staff of the Old Toad, though, I really, really like, especially on Horde Dragon, because that is going to allow us to, that's going to allow us to just find more. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by some other things going on in this game, and I know where some of this game is going. But it's going to allow us to find some, just more copies of Tier 4, Tier 5, Tier 6 units, which gets us really high tier treasures on Horde Dragon. And we're also going to be locking this shop, picking up 1 more XP, plus potentially the polywoggle next turn will be on 5.0, and the polywoggle might be something that we want to consider as well, if we can find like a Grim Soul or something. And of course we will also have the opportunity to just like start rolling for burning trees for a turn or 2 before we hit level 6, but we're almost level 6 as well. And we are going to get two hits on our Nutcracker on this turn, so that is really sweet as well. We are off to potentially completing a Tier 5 treasure. And you can also see there was the bonus Court Wizard attack there. We get to the end our Romeo, not really looking to pick up Juliet at this point, and I wasn't actually really considering the polywoggle until the Grim Soul also appeared in the shop. So I think that that is kind of important to recognize. That's kind of why I got distracted in my talking. I was like, I think a Grim Soul pops up into that empty spot in the shop. So I do think about this for a second because we also have Staff of the Old Toad and we could just roll for burning trees. We've got the double creeper. Creeper also a little bit awkward because we will not be able to triple the creeper. So that is something to consider as well. That is just a little bit awkward. We won't be able to triple the Sherwood Sure Shot either, but that's not as big of a deal. Just means that the creeper is going to be a little bit more awkward to work into these comps because on the later stages of the game, you'd really much prefer to have an upgraded Darkwood Creeper so that the stats are useful. I do consider here that we could lock this Falling Stars, which is good for the Nutcracker if we potentially want to if we need one more hit to activate that next turn. And then speaking of the creepers, it will also put some additional stats on those. Now, where this gets awkward is if the polywoggle for some crazy reason does not slay this turn. Could get a little bit weird. And unfortunately, that is what is going to happen. My opponent, I guess they must hit it with this mummy trigger here. Yeah, that goes right onto the polywoggle. So it's somewhat nice that the polywoggle can soak up that burst of 40 damage for us, but a little bit awkward that we're not going to be able to get it active next turn. However, we get to do a really cool trick. So here is trick number 1. With our tier 5 treasure, we can pick up Ambrosia here. And Hand of Midas seems good because we are about to go on to tier 6. However, Ambrosia will save our polywoggle from this Falling Stars, kill the Grim Soul, which then triggers onto an upgraded polywoggle and gives us an upgraded tier 6 unit. And I think that this is a really cool interaction. I actually started messaging Isaac right here. I was like, oh, I'm doing it. I'm gonna make the polywoggle factory. And what Isaac is a huge fan of, I probably have to sell for this burning tree, eh? If I sell my entire bench and the Sherwood Sure Shot, I could pick up this burning tree, or I could hang on to the Darkwood Creepers. That's tough. Or I could just lock this. Okay, I'll just go for a lock. But what Isaac likes to do is, because I do want to hang on to these Darkwood Creepers, I think. So it's a little bit tricky. But what Isaac likes to do is have an Ambrosia, have a Grim Soul, and then just keep purchasing polywoggles and keep churning out upgraded tier 6 units. And I think that that's really sweet. Unfortunately, we have Staff of the Old Toad. This is still a really cool combination of units and treasures to keep in mind. Unfortunately, we won't get to make huge use out of it this game, but we will get an upgraded Robin Wood. So that does give us something, but unfortunately we are done making polywoggles happen because we are going to be out of polywoggles. We just can't find any more unless we get like really weirdly specifically lucky in some random ways with like kidnaps and gloves of thieving and stuff. But let's not worry about that. Let's pick up a burning tree, start to sell off these Sherwood Sure Shots, and honestly, Robin Wood is pretty good. It is a tree, so pretty happy about that. We can now move the Heartwood Elder into the Ambrosia slot. That's pretty sweet. We could also put Hercules in the Ambrosia slot, but I think that I am not going to mess around with that. Let's just try to roll and find some more trees, and some more trees get found. We get to pick up an Echowood for our last spot, though I'm also somewhat interested in playing the Darkwood Creepers. It's a little bit tough to fit everything in though. I'm just going to play the Echowood. Like I said, the unupgraded Darkwood Creepers, especially with how small their stats are not super exciting. And then the way that this Robin Wood works, it will trigger onto the burning tree, I believe, because the Echowoods will, first off, the Echowood in the back will get Ambrosia'd, and that will become a, I don't know, like an 11, something. The math is important. Is it a 6-7 normally? Maybe it's a 6-7 normally and it'll become a 12-14. I don't know. I'm forgetting the math there, but that's going to get upgraded with Ambrosia. Then both Heartwood Elders are going to give +4/+4 to all of the units in front of them. So the Burning Tree is going to get +8/+16, but the Echowood will get all of those stats. So the Robin Wood will still go onto the Burning Tree, which then pumps up the Echowood as well, and gives us a bunch of stats there. Now that won't work out every combat because eventually this Robin Wood will start to just pump itself instead, but that's still going to give us a really strong board for this combat and allow us to walk away with a win. But there's definitely some better stuff I'd like to put in that Ambrosia slot. Actually, I mean, it's decent. It's decent. Here we get to do a pretty nice job, though, picking up a Hercules because that'll grab us a tier 7 treasure. That is probably worth it more than some of these other trees. We could put Hercules in the Ambrosia slot as well, but I think I'm just going to go for it in slot 1 and then roll to see what other trees we can find. So if we take a look now, I think the Burning Tree is still getting the buff. Oh no. Yes, we need to pump up the Robin Wood as well. These numbers get super close, but I believe the Burning Tree gets the buff this turn, unless of course we take this Ashwood Elm here, then the Ashwood will wind up grabbing the buff. But we do have enough units that we can sell. We can sell off these Darkwood Creepers. I'll sell off the Happy Little Tree because maybe I'll want to do something with these Darkwood Creepers in the future because they do have some synergy with Echowood and Burning Tree. But now the Ashwood Elm will be receiving the buff from Robinwood, but that's fine. We still have a large ranged tree from the Robinwood, and then we're working towards a tier 7 treasure with this Hercules. And we're scaling the heck out of this board as well, giving this Ashwood Elm +8/+8 every turn as well is just going to mean more stats for everything. It's not too much stats right now, but we do have a rather large Hercules. You can see that is now getting the Robinwood buff. I forgot, now that we've got Ashwood Elm, the Robinwood buff is going to go on our non-tree unit. And that is really important for now and winds up doing some really sweet things later as well. For right now, it's going to give us a 51 attack Hercules, which means that next turn, the Hercules will get us the treasure. Unfortunately, this turn, we actually do walk away with a loss, but that's all right, because we had 35 health, so we were still kind of killing it. We get to pick up a second Ashwood Elm here, which is really good, speaking of killing it, and for that, I will just wind up cutting the Heartwood Elder, I believe. I still want to play the all of the other units basically because I want this Hercules to be able to trigger and grab us a tier 7 treasure, so that's kind of the plan. And then I'm just throwing the Burning Tree in the Ambrosia slot because I want to scale up the Ashwood Elms as much as possible, and then they'll throw all of those stats onto the Burning Tree, which will also give them to the Echowood. So this is looking pretty sweet here. Let's jump ahead into the next combat, but we're going to be getting a tier 7 treasure, it looks like, and then also just having a really, really strong board for this stage of the game. Remember, we also bought some XP, so we're kind of killing it. That is going to be pretty good for us. We are going to be able to survive these lightning dragons. My opponent does have one Burning Tree. That's going to grab us our tier 7 treasure. Luckily, my opponent doesn't have any ranged units. And then we do have to battle through this Burning Tree, but once we do, we are going to be able to grab a win on this combat. In tier 7 treasures, there are a few really good ones for tree comps, and we're going to get a look at really none of them. We're going to take Excalibur here. I would have much rather Holy Grail, potentially Magic Sword. Obviously Round Table is the biggest one, but unfortunately we're just going to settle for Excalibur, which kind of makes our Ambrosia a little bit awkward, but now at least we've got Staff of the Old Toad Excalibur, kind of a tough thing to complain about. We get to roll through shops of only upgraded tier 4, 5, and 6 units. I will take the Lancelot because it will immediately trigger with the Robinwood now and grab us a tier 6 treasure, and that can be kind of sweet. So want to go into that and just grab a tier 6 treasure. There are some still sweet tier 6 treasures that we can pick up and still increase the power of this comp. So yeah, we're still doing pretty well here. We've got 28 health, and it seems like the Celestial Tiger might be the big baddie that we have to deal with, though Peter Pants, this stage of the game, I think will be pretty reasonable to take out. The Trophy Hunter could be scary, and that is who we are playing up against this turn. So Trophy Hunters put something sweet together. We might need a little bit of help. They have some large Grim Souls and are going to slay, and that is just going to firstly land on the Jormungand, which is maybe you don't want to play Jormungand in this comp, but then it is going to land on the Mummy and take out the rest of my units. So really, really awkward stuff there. We take 18 damage. We do, though, get a tier 6 treasure. Singing Sword is fantastic. No other way around it. Probably don't need the Ambrosia at this stage of the game, especially with the Excalibur. And I think I do want to hang on to Staff of the Old Toad plus Excalibur for another second. There is a chance that we could toss the Excalibur because we are playing Horde Dragon. Tossing the Excalibur could allow us to find some unupgraded Ashwood Elms, which would allow us to potentially grab a tier 7 treasure. However, there is another way to grab a tier 7 treasure, and that is the trick that we are going to take a look at right now. We've got 8 gold, and we've got an evil twin in this shop. And if we do the math real quick, well, we know that if we make a copy of Lance, that would give us a tier 6 treasure, but we can also make a copy of Hercules, and that makes it a 40 attack unit in the front row. But once it gets that Robin Hood buff, that is going to immediately have 100 attack. So that is trick number 2. Evil Twin just immediately printing a tier 7 treasure for us is going to potentially allow us to get back into this game against these other really powerful opponents that we have, because we'll be able to take another look at potentially getting Magic Sword or potentially even Round Table, both of which could be really fantastic. So we'll take a look now. The Hercules is going to get plus 60 attack from the Robin Hood, plus 30, and then it gets doubled because of the Singing Sword. Obviously, a lot of really particular circumstances to make this happen, but everything fell into place pretty nicely there, and that is going to allow us to walk away with a tier 7 treasure. So pretty sweet stuff. We just have to hope that this is enough to defeat Trophy Hunter, probably, as I imagine the Trophy Hunter is going to deal some damage to the Celestial Tiger this turn, and they do, but they don't quite kill the Tiger. Also, we get the Round Table, so that's pretty sweet. We just have to figure out which of these treasures we are getting rid of, and we also have an upgraded Ashwood Elm in this shop. I think it's time to toss the Excalibur. And the reason for this is very specific, because we are playing Horde Dragon and we already have the 2 upgraded Ashwood Elms. I think I want to hang on to this Staff of the Old Toad, but I think that we can get a lot of win equity here by tossing the Excalibur and potentially even finding additional trees down the line. So that is kind of the plan. I'll roll, and I think I find a burning tree this turn. I do. I'll have to sell 4 units for it, though, and that's actually going to be a little bit tricky. I know I can sell the Creeper. I kind of don't want to sell the Hercules because I like the idea of potentially doing that play again, but ultimately I'm going to decide on selling the Robin Hood and hanging on to the Heartwood Elder because I want to continue to scale the rest of my units on the board, and maybe we'll be able to make some use out of it. I think realistically, excuse me, I probably should have just sold the Hercules and hung on to the Robin Hood, but we'll see how it goes. We are playing up against a double Bear Stain, Mimic Chest, Monkey's Paw, Fairy Wand. So my opponent is resummoning animals with huge stats, but we've got some trees with some rather large stats of our own, thanks to this Round Table and Singing Sword and all of these burning trees. We've got an Echowood that is in the 2000s, and my opponent does not have an Echowood, so that is going to be enough to kill through all of their animals and then eventually their Bear Stains and then them. And you can see how they lost to the Trophy Hunter as well. They just had a bunch of easy targets to slay. So now it's the finals, and we are up against this Trophy Hunter, and we've got some decisions to make on the last combat. We're going to be able to pick up a Burning Tree, And then from here, we might as well take Spear of Achilles and drop the Staff of the Old Toad, and we could even pick up this Robin Wood as our last unit. And of course, I would have much rather had the upgraded Robin Wood, but Robin Wood is actually a pretty smart unit against Trophy Hunter strategies, because we will be able to shrink their highest attack unit and potentially keep it from slaying. So that's typically going to be like their leading Grimsoul, and we can shrink that. It's going to be tough for them to slay regardless, though, because we've got this round table, and honestly, that is just going to be enough to do it. That should prevent them from really getting any slays here at the start of the combat. The last brawl of this game is just absolutely bonkers against this Trophy Hunter, so I wanted to break down everything exactly as it is happening. First things first, our trees are going to get massive attack bonuses thanks to the Singing Sword and then all of the Ashwood Elms. So that is also going to give Echowood an incredible amount of attack and bring Burning Tree up to about 300 attack and 700 health. Then we are going to get the Robin Wood bonus, followed by the Round Table. And that's going to make all of the trees have a bunch of health as well. That way my opponent cannot slay against us. And it's going to give Echowood absolutely insane health up to 5,400. Now, unfortunately, my opponent does hit a Rotten Applewood on my Burning Tree, so that's going to bring that down to 1. And this is really scary because that means that my opponent could potentially slay up against this Burning Tree, and that could be really disastrous. First thing that's going to happen is my Echowood is going to attack in and kill my opponent's Jormungand, which I think is pretty good for us. It's not the best, but it does still take out one of their units, but it also is pretty decent for my opponent because this means that now all of their Grimsouls are going to land on this mummy that they have. And that is going to be a ton of mummy missiles when you take a look at my opponent's treasures. My opponent is full Trophy Hunter build at this stage of the game. They've got this Horn of Olympus, which means all of these Baba Yagas are supporting all of these Grimsouls, which just means that we're going to have a ton of mummy triggers. Now, luckily, this Grimsoul attacks into my Echowood and not the Burning Tree. If it attacks the Burning Tree, I just lose. But it attacks the Echowood, but this is still going to be a ton of mummy triggers. It's an upgraded Grimsoul, so we have to multiply everything by 2 at the end, and then this mummy is also being supported by an Evil Eye and a Mimic Chest. So because of that, we also have to multiply everything by 3 at the end, because all of these support triggers are going to happen 3 times. So this Baba Yaga is going to do 2 extra mummy missiles in here. This one's going to do 2 extra, and this one's going to do 1 extra. So that's 15 extra when you multiply that by 3. Plus, we have one that is natively happening, so 16, and then we multiply that by 2 for 32 total mummy missiles that are each hitting for 136 each. And my math might be slightly off somewhere in there, but still, that is a ton of damage. And that is going to wipe out my entire board, except for potentially my Echowood. Let's see how far into this all gets, but this is going to just deal a ton of damage, 136 both times. I think I did the math right, and it's like 30 mummy missiles. You can count them. Let me know in the comments how many mummy missiles it actually was, but I think that it is 32. Then our Echowood survives, and this part is equally as important. We have a 50-50 right here to win or lose the game. If we attack into their Grimsoul, the whole thing happens again. 32 more mummy missile triggers, and 32 times 136 is going to be enough to take out my upgraded Echowood. But luckily, we hit onto the mummy, so that is only 1 mummy missile, and then my huge Echowood is going to be able to eat up these Baba Yagas. So we got really, really lucky on this last combat. My opponent with the full Trophy Hunter build there put together definitely feels like we got lucky on that one. And I think if we look at the percentage in the top corner, yeah, we were 1/3 to win this combat. 1 out of 3, with my opponent having a pretty decent chance to lose if we had attacked into those Grim Souls rather than attacking into my opponent's Slay units. But luckily it all came together and we were able to put together some really sweet trees this game with some really cool tricks as well. Don't forget about the tricks earlier in this video with Ambrosia, and then also Hercules and Robinwood. Altogether, a really fun video, really fun game. Hopefully you guys had fun, because I know I did playing it. That's going to be it for me for this one. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'm NoLucksGiven. Peace.